everybody, this is Matthew Movies coming at you with my review of Bumblebee, the 2018 Transformers movie, which in my opinion, it's the latest Transformers movie and it is the greatest Transformers movie by a wide margin. I mean, don't get me wrong, this movie is far from perfect, but it's entertaining, which is something a lot of the Transformers movies seem to forget to be. This movie is a lot of fun, and a lot of that I think has to do with the character of Bumblebee, who to me is such a highlight of even the previous films. I mean, most of those movies I don't care for. They seem to take themselves overly seriously. They seem to miss the point of what made the cartoon and the characters so much fun. But even in those movies, Bumblebee is entertaining. But here he's absolutely at his best. Like there's such a even though he's this gigantic robot that can attack people, and there are great scenes of him in battle and all that stuff, there's a vulnerability to his character that just really appeals to me, especially when he is missing his voice and all that, and that's another thing I really enjoyed seeing in this movie, how that took place. This movie, in case you haven't seen it, is a prequel to the previous Transformers movies, and far superior to those Transformers movies. And I know that they're talking about making another Bumblebee, and I would definitely enjoy seeing that, but I would really like it if this is the tone of the Transformers movies going forward, because this movie it seems to understand what audiences want, and that's one of the biggest things that I always felt was missing in the first Transformers movie, which I think it's actually a fairly entertaining movie. It's far from perfect, but I enjoy it. They seem to get the whole thing about like the robot and the human and the connection between the two of them, because Shia LaBeouf's character and Bumblebee had a decent connection, but here they wildly outdo that. The relationship that's created between Bumblebee and Haley Steinfeld's character, I think, is an absolute highlight of this film. They're really entertaining together, and it's amazing to me to this day. There's lots of movies who've done it. This is far from the only movie that's pulled this off, but the fact that they can make you care about this CG or like an animated robot in other movies, this gigantic CG robot and this human being in their relationship, and you can really feel like their connection. It's really, to me, it's actually very impressive, and speaks to the skills of the storytellers in this movie. And then, speaking of Haley Steinfeld's character, I really enjoyed her a lot. I thought there was a couple aspects of her character that were a little bit mediocre, like the whole diving thing seemed really tacked on, and personally I would have preferred it without that whole aspect. But like the vulnerability of her missing her dad, and her relationship with Bumblebee, and her wanting to like have a car to get this freedom, and I enjoyed the fact that she had mechanical skills, which kind of a ripoff of the original Transformers, Megan Fox's character. But in this case, you actually believed her character a lot more. Like in Megan Fox's character, it seemed like a bit of a stretch. She seemed to be delivering lines, whereas Steinfeld's character actually comes off like somebody that actually knows about cars and is passionate about cars. So that was really a whole lot of fun to see, and just her whole character I thought was very entertaining, and I would really love to see more of her in a sequel. And then her friend, the guy who goes on some of the adventures, like the way that their interplay between the two of them, like there was actually some chemistry between the two of them, but it wasn't like overt. It wasn't like a huge part of the story, which I thought was great. And I wasn't like watching it being like, oh, I really wanted to see them make out or whatever. And then she gives him the kiss on the cheek. I thought that was really well handled. They added John Cena to this movie, which I gotta say, when I found out he was gonna be in it, I was a little bit dubious, because I saw him in Trainwreck, and I thought he was entertaining in that, but overall I don't think he's the best actor in the world, and that's coming from a wrestling fan. But I actually thought he fit this role to perfection. He wasn't asked to do anything like over the top, but he spent most of this movie with like kind of like this mean mug on his face, and then by the end of the movie, when he kind of flips the script a little bit and he realizes that he's been judging Bumblebee and these robots incorrectly, and some of the robots that he's decided to work with aren't exactly what it seems. I thought his character was written really well and handled really well, and kudos to Cena. I thought he pulled it off, and again, another actor who I would absolutely enjoy seeing in a potential sequel to this. I will say, one of the problems I had with this movie were you had the two bad robots. I think they're called Shudder and Dropkick. I found them to be very underwhelming. There was never a point in the movie where I really bought that, they were going to pull off this thing. So the stakes weren't entirely there. I mean, I thought that the whole thing about them gaining access to the satellites was entertaining, and that was pretty creative. But I don't know, there's just something about the way their characters were written that just left me feeling a little bit cold. I thought that the voice performances behind the characters were very well handled, and the actors did a great job. But I don't, just something about the writing of their characters kind of left me feeling a little bit cold. But honestly, at the end of the day, I gotta tell you, the highlight of this movie for me were the few sequences that took place on Cybertron. Like actually seeing Cybertron, seeing the Decepticons and the Autobots fighting one another in the past. I thought it was awesome, and it just took me right back to my childhood, seeing some of these characters, like having the guy come out and release the tapes from his chest. What was his name? I can't believe I'm drawing a blank on his name. Soundwave, I think. Anyways, I just like that was so much fun to see, and just like all the fighting on, so cool. Cybertron. Anytime that they can show a scene on Cybertron, I'm gonna be all in. I will say, I think an actual movie that all took place on Cybertron would be way too much and not be very effective. I mean, you never know, but somebody could make a great movie out of it. But in theory, to me, it doesn't sound too appealing. But just having those little nuggets of those sequences really appealed to me. So overall, I enjoyed this movie quite a bit. And before I watched the movie, I had heard it was much better than the other ones, but I was surprised how much better it was. I really found it entertaining. So those are my thoughts on Bumblebee. Let me know in the comment section below what you think. And other than that, have yourself a good day.